Welcome to Little Craft Nest. My name is Nisha and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these really sweet Valentine's window boxes with the Cricut Maker. You can also use another Cricut cutting machine if you'd like in order to make these boxes. For this project you're going to need some cardstock, and you're also going to want the Cricut scoring stylus or the Cricut scoring wheel. So you can use either of these for this project. And you're also going to need some transparency film or overhead projector sheets. I don't know if you can see this because it is transparent. If you don't have either of those, you can also grab one of your Cricut mats and use your transparent cover for this project. And then you're also going to want some candy to put inside your boxes. So let's head over to Design Space and get our box template ready to go. So before we get started, I am going to open the file I uploaded to Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to go over to Upload. And here's the file I uploaded from Design Bundles. If you are interested in this file, I will leave it linked down below in the description. So this file is rather large. We are not making a box this big. So the first thing I am going to do is go to the top to the width, and we're going to size this down to 11.5 inches. Now you can get a box template from any site you want. You might find them on Etsy, Design Bundles. Design Space has some if you have access. So you're just going to want to find a box template. Even if it doesn't include a window, you can always add one to it. So this box template says Cube Box Template at the top, and we do not need that layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to the right hand side, and we are going to ungroup everything. Then I'm going to select the layers that say Cube Box Template on the left, and I'm just going to delete that layer, and there's one more here at the bottom, and I'm going to delete that layer. Now in order to see this box a little better, I'm going to change the color of it. So I'm going to go over to the top, and let's change it to a light purple here. Now you'll notice all these lines on our box. These are going to be our scoring lines where we fold our box. But right now, if you were to click on our line layer, you'll notice the operation says basic cut. So that means our Cricut machine is going to cut those lines, and we do not want that to cut. We want it to score. So under operation, we are going to change that to score. And you'll notice all our lines are now dotted lines, so we know they are score lines and not cut lines. So we have two layers now. We have our score lines and we have our box. So we are going to select both layers, and we need to attach those together at the bottom right. Now, since I removed those words, our box got a little smaller. You can keep it this size, but I'm going to make it bigger again, and I'm going to change the width once again to 11.5 inches. Now, when we cut this out, we're going to have this window here on our box. Now, when I put things in my box, I don't want anything to be falling out of it. So I'm going to make a little square that goes behind this box. So we're going to go over to the shapes, and we're going to grab this square and size it to our little window here. So we don't want this box to be going past our scoring lines. So just make sure it's right inside. Make it as big as you can without going over the scoring lines, because we're going to be gluing this square inside our box. Now you could go ahead and cut this square out in cardstock if you want, but I'm going to be using a clear overhead projector sheet. Another option you can use, if you have an old cover from one of your Cricut mats, one of the plastic covers, you can also cut this square out of that as well. Now for the fun of it, let's make a second box. So I'm going to duplicate both images. So let's highlight everything here and press duplicate. And I'm going to zoom out and move our duplication over here. Now let's say you wanted a different shape here. Instead of this envelope, you just want to have a plain heart. So we're going to work on that now. So let's select our layer here, and we are going to have to detach it again. So go to the bottom right and press detach, and we're going to select our purple layer. Now we're going to go over to the bottom right and press contour. And we're going to click on hide all contours, and that will leave us with just the outline of our image. And then we can press the X. And now we just have a plain box with no window in it. Now, if you want to add a window, what we can do is go over to the shapes, and let's select the heart and line this heart up right on the center of our box here. And when you have it in a position that you like, you're going to select your heart layer And you're also going to select the purple layer, and then we're going to go down to the bottom right and press slice. And then we can remove our sliced layers here. So we can move our gray heart, and then we're going to have another purple heart under there. So to remove that heart, I'm just going to send my purple layer back so it's easier to grab that heart. So send to back. And then I'm going to grab this purple heart and we're going to move that. So we no longer need these two hearts over here, so we can go ahead and delete those. So we need to attach our scoring lines again back to our box. So we're going to select our purple layer and our scoring lines once again and go to the bottom right and press attach. And we still have our little square down here for our window film. Now let's go over to make it. Press continue, and our first sheet here is our clear film. So we are going to select our materials, so go over to browse all materials, and for cutting out the overhead projector sheets, you're going to type in cutting at the top, and you're going to select cutting matte protector, and I found that this setting was the best setting to use for the projector sheets. So let's click done. Now don't forget, we will need to change our material setting before we put our cardstock in the machine. So let's go ahead and put our clear film on our cutting mat and get that cut out first. Now I have my projector sheet here. You can see that I've cut out two squares here. It may be hard to see because it is transparent, and we're just going to stick this on the mat and get our squares cut out. Now it's rather easy to peel our projector film off. So we're just going to flip it over and peel it off. And then we're left with these two squares here that I'm going to gently pull up. And there's our little squares. Now for our first box, I am going to be using this rather thick glitter cardstock. So I'm going to place this on my mat and then change our settings in Design Space. So let's go to browse all materials. I'm going to type in glitter, and I'm going to select glitter cardstock. Now you'll notice that we need to load our scoring wheel. If you don't have a scoring wheel and you only have a scoring stylus, what you can do is go to Edit Tools. And you can choose if you want to do the double scoring wheel, the single scoring wheel, or the scoring stylus. Now, because my cardstock is rather thick, I'm going to stick with the double scoring wheel and press apply. So I'm going to switch out my blade and put my double scoring wheel into clamp B. And once our machine has scored the cardstock, Design Space will prompt us to switch out our tool back to our blade to get our box cut out. Now we're going to be very careful when we take this off our mat because there are quite a few intricate cuts in our window here. So we're going to flip over our mat and slowly peel our mat off our cardstock. Now there's quite a few details in this heart here, so I'm just kind of using my finger just to pull them all back so I don't rip any of them. And here is our first box. For our second box, I am going to be using some medium cardstock. This is actually red cardstock from Cricut. I think it's from their holiday collection pack, and it's a nice deep red for Valentine's Day. Now I am using a different material again, so I will need to switch my settings in Design Space, and we're just going to select medium cardstock for this box. And I'm also going to be using the single scoring wheel instead of the double scoring wheel. Now this design is much simpler than the last one, so it should be a lot easier to peel off the mat. And here is box number 2. We can even use this heart that we cut out and we can stick it on our other box too on the top. It'd be kind of cute. Now before we begin to fold our box, we're first going to put our clear film down. So you can use whatever type of glue you want, or a tape or a glue runner here. I'm just going to use this glue runner. And then just place your clear film right on top. And there's our little window there. Now we're just going to fold along each of our score lines, and then we're going to glue the box together. You can also just fold it backwards first if it's easier to see the score line on one side of your cardstock, and then fold it the other way. And once you've folded all your creases, we're going to glue the box together. I'm going to be using tacky glue. So I'm just going to put the glue on each of these folds. And make sure you don't put any glue on your top folds, because otherwise we're not going to be able to open our box. And you'll want to just hold down each piece for a few seconds until it sticks where you want it to be. And try not to get the glue from your fingers on your box like I just did right there. And there's our first box. So for our second box, we're going to do the same thing we just did. I'm going to start with our film and place that on first before we fold the box. And there we go. And there's our glitter box. So one thing to know is when you're using really thick cardstock like I did with this glitter, you're going to kind of see the glitter chipping away at the edges. So instead of using the thickest glitter cardstock that you can find, you can go a little thinner. So I made this box with a thinner glitter cardstock and I can't see those edges chipping away. So for this box, this is the cardstock that I used. If I can find it online, I'll link it down below. And for the really thick cardstock, I use this cardstock pack. Now, this would be great for some projects, but as we can see, not the best for folding. It still works to make a nice box, but you might get some glitter chipping away at the edges. Now we can also embellish these boxes a little more. We added the heart to this one, and if you find they're flapping open, one thing you can do is either make a sticker with your Cricut to put on the edge, or if you already have sheets of Valentine stickers laying around, you can get one to close it off after we fill them with candy. Another little something extra you can do to your boxes is use your Cricut to write something on top of your boxes. So for this one, I wrote Happy Valentine's Day using my Cricut pens, and so there is another option for you. We just have one last thing to do, and that's to fill our boxes with some Valentine's candy. I hope you enjoyed today's project. These turned out super cute and they're just a great little something to give someone special on Valentine's Day. If you're interested in crafting and Cricut tutorials, don't forget to press that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.